Good evening. Doing a final setup on this guitar here. It's for somebody I know who's a beginner looking to learn. And when he bought it, it's used, it's secondhand. Looks good, but looks don't always tell the whole story. Bridge was lifting, so I re-glued the bridge. And just looking over the setup, and if I would have handed this over to a beginner, we'd never get a guitar player out of the deal. And decided to do this video here because I'm afraid a lot of people start out with this kind of handicap. I know I did, and that's how I got into building and repairing. I got into repairing and setting up early on. I was struggling with then girlfriend's dad's Sears. Oh hell, what do you call those? Come out of a Sears catalog. Big black thing, had birds on it. And anyways, it was like fretting a fence. It was just no playing it. Of course, I was a beginner, so I blamed it on myself. I could form a G chord, managed to get a D in there, could never get a C for the life of me. Until one day I found a little book a little handbook, a little pocket book, little wee thing, on guitar adjustment and repair, and the light bulb went off. I'm like, holy hell, we can adjust these things? And what turned out to be the problem was the nut. The action at the nut was so high that it made the string so hard to push down, but worse, had to push so far down that my inaccurate fingers at the time would mute one or both of the strings on the other side, especially these two on a C chord when you're doing that. And so when I strum it, it will go thud, ding, ding, thud, thud, ding. You know what I mean. You're watching this because you play guitar, or you're going to teach somebody to play guitar. And I've, since then, this is 31 years ago, and, or should I say this is now 31 years later, I do this for a living, professionally, and it's still the case. Unless you're paying really good money for a really good guitar, then the action at the nut's going to be horrible. It still takes me an hour plus to make a nut and file each slot down perfectly. So in a factory setting, they just glue one on, go. So if I were to come here and just measure the action at the 12th fret like we typically do, I'd say this thing was ready to go. The action was great. And here's a quick way you can check on a guitar. 3 drill bits, assuming you can see them. 1/16, whatever the next size up, and a 3/32. So that's 62 thousandths, 80 thousandths, and 93 thousandths. Perfect little jump there. Let's see if we can. There we go. Hope I'm not too slick for you. So now I got the 1/16 here, and I'll run it between the fret and the string, and so it's just a little over 16th, 60 thou. I'm going to try the 80 thou, and the 80 thou definitely raises it. So I guess this one right now, just a quickie at about 65, which is good. And let's see, 80 thou is touching and raising the string on the low E. My throat's messed up. Allergies probably. So this one's lower than 80. So it's actually good action here. So you'd think, okay, I'm going to give this to my buddy that's just looking to start out. And if I did that, 3 or 4 weeks from now and ask them, how you doing? So I can't do a damn thing on that. My fingers hurt. I can't play. I can't get a clean chord out of it. It's because the problem is here. Here. Quick way to check this. Fret at the 3rd fret, push the string down. I'm going to have to do this. I usually go here, but in your way. That string should be just about touching the 1st fret. Look at how much movement we have there. And it gets worse going across. Yeah. Do a little demo. In theory, the nut slots should be the same depth, same height as a fret. Because if you use the old handy dandy capo, your capo now eliminates all that and your fret becomes the nut. This is a string nut. So that is now defining the height. Look, see what happens when I do this. You can't see the movement. I'm going to tap it so I can hear it. That's perfect action there. No matter where you put the capo, it's going to do the same thing. And you say, oh, I'm not going to use a capo, that's a cheater. Well, screw you on that. It's not a cheater, it's a tool. But if you're going to play a bar chord, guess what? Your first finger has now become the capo. Same deal. So the theory holds. So anyhow, I'm going to keep this short. I have the attention span of a gnat, so I'm assuming everybody's pretty much the same. And whole point here is, if you're going to buy a guitar with the idea of starting out, bring a good player with you. Choose it. Or if you have a friend that's a guitar tech, luthier, builder, repairman, take him or her. And if you can't do any of that, or it's an impulse buy, or a buddy at work had one for sale and you're like, yeah, I could take that. Before you even go struggle, take it to a good luthier, a good setup guy. Have him or her go over it from end to end. Let them know that you're just starting out, because an experienced guitar player can play this. I can play this. I can make music on this. Won't be my favorite one to make music on because it's going to hurt. I'm going to have to work at it. But I can. But a beginner needs the best playing guitar, period. So now my job is going to be, sorry for the shoulder, taking out the nut files and slotting each one down. And it's a slow trial by error thing. Yeah, there are tools you can measure and make a stack. You can do a stack of feeler gauges. I just eyeball it and go and sneak it down. And yeah, I'll get her there. So to close up, how many times have I said so? Maybe make a drinking game out of this. So bottom line, have it set up by somebody. It'll make all the damn difference. If you're really in a hurry, you saw what I did with the capo. Put the capo on, play it from there. Another way to judge it, I guess, put a capo on first. Go to the 2nd fret. It keeps the position markers in sequence until you get around here. And if you put a capo on, and suddenly, wow, this thing plays. It plays a lot easier when I put the capo on. Well, guess what? You're nuts high. Because it should play the same. And people go up here. No, this is where I'm going to be playing. No, yeah. Up here, it doesn't really matter. But the closer you are to the nut, the harder it is. That hurts. Just going down. Just doing that. That literally hurts. And guess what? You're doing a C chord, you're there. An F, you're barring that all 6 of these, or catching those 2. D minor, G7th. I can't stretch like this here. Anyways, E. So you're fretting at the first fret here. This is horrible. This is not the world's cheapest guitar. This is not it's not near as cheesy as the one I started out on, and the action is no better. And that's where they cut the corners. Anyways, video's getting long. There's the real reason you're struggling. If you found this video because you're trying to learn to play and you're struggling like hell, your fingers are bleeding or they're hurting, you can't play clean chords. Some chords you can, some you can't. There's your reason. Get it set up. Have a good one.